If you're a business owner, do you find sometimes you're a bit of a pushover? Do you find sometimes your customers are challenging you on price, on service, on delivery times? Do you find your suppliers also give you a bit of a hard time sometimes? Maybe your staff do, maybe your family does. Maybe actually you're getting bombarded from all angles about the way you run your business. It doesn't quite fit with how you feel you should run it versus how you actually run it. There's a bit of a sort of disconnect between the two. And if you stop and think about it, maybe you feel like you're on your back foot a little bit and you're feeling like you're a bit of a pushover. Well, hopefully in this little video, I'll be able to help you overcome that, or certainly help you put things in place to improve your position within your business. This little model is presented in our book, Rock Solid Growth 2.0, and it also goes with a free course which you can go and grab as well. The reason for this is it started off with a simple scorecard that came from this diagram. So we're going to talk about rules today. Do you have really good rules in your business that everybody sticks to? And if you said, God, yes, we've got 6 rules in our business, everybody in the business sticks to them religiously, and as a result, our business runs really smoothly, well, that'll be a 10 out of 10. But if you're sitting there going, we don't have any rules or boundaries, we just kind of make it up as we go along each day, and it seems to work, but I don't even know what a rule is, then you're going to score a 1 out of 10. And if we can take your low score and turn it into a high score, and we can actually improve this part of the business along with other elements, I guarantee you that your business will be a whole lot easier to run, and very likely you're going to make some more money, because this is what we've done with real clients over the last 30 odd years, helping them improve their business. And it's this model that came from working with thousands of business owners, and I just wanted to put it in a simple method so that people could follow along. So what is a rule? Well, a rule is something as simple as keep off the grass. If you saw a sign that said keep off the grass and it was on the edge of a lawn, you keep off the grass. Now you can break that rule, then there's consequences to go with it, but the idea is that it's a simple instruction, anybody can follow it, it's as simple as that. As opposed to, and you might go deeper onto rules, you might talk about company values and morals and those sorts of things, and that's also very good to be thinking about those if you're running your business, but at this level I want to be just talking about some simple rules. Now, to help you, I pulled this off the wall in our office. We have 6 rules. And we created these 6 rules, not by just sitting down and writing them. We actually had to think about it for quite some time. And we had to keep working on them to condense them. I think originally we had about 9 or 10 rules. And of course what happens is then you don't remember them. 6 rules we can pretty much remember without looking at it on the wall. It's useful to have on the wall, but it's there. So to give you an example of what a really good rule would be, that helps take away that need to be a pushover, is rule number 1 for us is we don't work with any client who doesn't meet our ideal avatar. In other words, we have an ideal client that we love working with, and our goal is to only work with ideal clients. We're in business to help people make more money and have an easier life, and if those people come to us and we can help them, they often turn into actually really good friends. We've got clients that have been clients for a long, long time. Most of our clients have been with us like 15, 20, 30 years. Lots of people join our world and stay with us for a long, long time. That means we're going to spend more time with them. And what I don't want to do is spend the next 10 years working with somebody that I don't like, or worse still, they don't like me, right? They've got to be people that we like working with. So our ideal client, if we know that that is an important rule, then it affects our marketing. It implements the systems that we have in our business, okay? It affects the quality of what we deliver. Our ideal client has a different perspective of the value of what we deliver. And maybe the price is influenced by our ideal client. So having an ideal client avatar and understanding who that is, and then setting it as a rule as we only work for those, makes a huge difference. Now, how could we break that rule? Well, I could easily break that rule by meeting somebody who comes at me with the same problems as our ideal client, but they're not an ideal client, and they start talking to me, and they almost want to be a client themselves because they see what we can do and they go, I'll follow your rules, I'll work with you, I'll do everything you say. And during the process of bringing our clients into our world, we will ask a series of questions and talk through things, and it'll become quite obvious whether they're an ideal client or not. And if they're not, the best thing for me to say is, thank you very much for your inquiry, but no thank you, we're fully booked at the moment. But in my mind, I might be saying, but I need the money. I'll take on anybody because I'm really desperate to pay my bills and I need the money. And that's where the conflict comes. But then what happens is you bring them in as a client and 6 months later, you regret the day you let them in because they gave you some money to be able to pay your bills for the short term, but the long term, they become more of a drain on your resources. I've got plenty of examples of people who have priced up a job, and right at the signing of the contract, the customer comes back and chips them for the price and they do a deal and suddenly they knock off 10% at the last minute. That's not an ideal client as far as I'm concerned. If a client came to me and wanted to reduce the fees just as they're signing the contract, no deal. No deal. The price is the price, and that's what we're going to do, because if we want to deliver the quality and the value and everything that we do for our clients, the price is the price. And so that's just one simple rule that you can have by just identifying who that ideal client is. We have another rule. No meetings and calls will happen without a prior appointment. The one simple business system that you can get right in your business is to control your calendar, is to actually have a system of control of your calendar. So we use a little bit of software called Calendly. I'm no affiliate to it, but I think it's absolutely superb bit of software. Anytime somebody contacts me and says, hey, can I have an appointment, Kevin? I go, yeah, here's a Calendly link. Our clients have a membership area where they can go into and access our calendar 24/7. They can see our calendar any time, day or night, and they can look at our calendar and book appointments. But they cannot just pick up the phone and ring me. They cannot just knock on the door and say, have you got a minute? But equally, neither can our staff. Even Vicky and I have regular appointments in our calendar, particularly for business, but also for important things like date night. If we don't put it in our calendar and make an appointment, one of us isn't going to turn up. All right. So the calendar is really important, but we take it one stage further and go, we don't do anything without putting it in the calendar, because that means we then haven't got a random thing arriving and taking up our time when we should be doing something else. Now, we can have appointments with other people, but what about appointments with ourselves? What about the 3 most important things that I've got to do today? How about I block my calendar for however long I think it's going to take, and I go and do that task? I often see business owners who have their Google Calendar or their business calendar, and they have all appointments in there, and then in between the appointments are these big gaps. And you go, what's the gaps for? Well, that's to do the stuff on my desk. And then they complain they never get the stuff done on their desk because they get interrupted. Well, that's because there's no appointment. There's no appointment with themselves to go away and lock themselves away and do the important tasks that they've got to do. So they have this sort of open door policy. They may not even realize it. Everybody is interrupting and the phone is always going, etc. A simple rule, all meetings and calls to start and end on time. If you don't, you start an appointment late, you finish appointment late, now you're going to be late for the next appointment. Sometimes if I'm doing video calls with people, I feel a bit like Phileas Fogg traveling all over the world. I'll have a call at 10 o'clock in the morning, and the next one might be at 10:30, and the next one might be 11 o'clock. Well, at 10:30, I need to get off that call and on to the next one to keep the whole thing efficient, to be able to spread my time amongst the people who've booked their calls. I can't just freely give my time away because I'll never get it back. So calls starting on time and ending on time. We have a series of tasks that we do for our clients, work that we do, some of the service that we offer. And we've got to control that work. We've got to control which team member does it, when it's got to be done by. There's always a level of urgency between tasks where some things have a deadline. And the thing is, to avoid the stresses and the pressures of doing things lastminute.com, if we plan our work out and we go, look, we've got this big block of work that's got to be done. Some of this isn't going to be needed for another 3-4 weeks. Some of this is going to be needed by the end of the week or next week. Let's turn it into a priority. Let's put it in our task list. Let's allocate the resources correctly so that nobody is stressed because they've got too much to do. If you've got a team member that has got too much to do, look around the rest of the team and allocate and spread some of the work around. Or, more importantly, dive into your systems and ask questions whether things can be automated, maybe outsourced or delegated to other people. So the task list is really important to make our business run. We do not extend our deadlines to accommodate client tardiness. Ooh. This came back from many years ago in my accountancy business, where clients would always leave it to the last minute to go, finally got my stuff ready for you, and they drop it on the doormat and say, there you go, and we'd have 24 hours to deliver it because there was a deadline. Well, that's okay if you've got one client, of course, but not if 10 do it. We found that staff were getting stressed and broken. This was a long, long time ago in my early days. But what we have since realized and learnt over the years, that even if you've got the perfect client, they can have issues in their life where they need you to do something. But in order for you to complete your task, you need them to do something. And we have systems in place to chase and make sure that clear communication about what they need to do. And sometimes they don't. And they come and apologise. And sometimes that means that the thing that we were going to do for them by the date that we said has to slip. What we don't do is we don't break ourselves doing work unnecessarily through those stress times. Now, you know, that's a call you've got to make, you've got a decision you've got to make. And of course, I'll always do my best to help somebody. And if there's enough notification, I'll work to it. But I don't need to be working Friday night at midnight to finish something that I could have done 3 weeks ago, but it didn't happen because the client didn't do their bit. And of course, when you have these sorts of rules and you work with your customers and even your suppliers, it has a knock-on effect. The number of people I've spoken to, and they've asked me how I do my calendar system because they've never heard of it. And then I show them, they go, oh, this is really good. We can use this in our business. Well, of course you can. So you can pass that on. And then the final rule we have is we follow our systems to the letter, meaning that if we're finding the process that we're operating, the standard operating procedures for running our business that comes out of systems, if they're not running properly and something's going amiss, something's not smooth, rather than just adapt and change and do things, we go back to the system. And we have down with our systems, we have a flow chart of all of the process to take our customer through a journey. And if there's a doubt somewhere in there, then we have to go and address that within our system and build a system to accommodate that. Otherwise, what happens is you set your stall out with your team and you set your stall out with your customers. You say, right, this is what we're going to do. And what can happen, and I've experienced this over the years, is that you end up with creep. You believe in your mind as the business owner that you're going this way. And then time passes and you find suddenly you're going this way. Ever so slightly, you've drifted off course because your team further down go, oh, I don't do that anymore. I've seen this a lot with businesses where you go in and you go, have you got a checklist for that? It'd be sensible to have a checklist so you don't make that mistake again. Oh yeah, we used to have a checklist, but we don't use it anymore. Or we used to have a spreadsheet for that, but we don't use it anymore. Or we used to record that and we don't record it anymore. Why? Nobody knows why. It's just that somebody was doing it one day and they went, oh, I don't know why we're doing this, so they stopped. Right? So these rules that you have in your business are there to prop up all these other things, to give you that strength, if you like, within your business to say, look, no matter what happens, if we stick to these rules, everything will be okay. It then adds towards your positioning as a business owner. And this is the idea of this, is to get you on your front foot where you are leading. We want leaders, and in order to be a leader you have to lead and not be a bit of a pushover. And there's a fine balance sometimes between being really nice and providing the best quality and looking after your team and all the rest of it, to actually saying, do you know what, the right thing to do is this, because this is our rules. And what I've often found sometimes as well, by having rules in the business, you, as a business owner, you can stand back behind them sometimes. You can just say, oh, that's just policy. that's our business policy. And anybody who's challenging you, you just go, no, that's our business policy, we do this. And they go, oh, okay. And it's a very good piece of language you can use to help you position yourself. Now, I hope it's quite a complex area, but it's really quite simple, really, until you start digging into it. And if you have any questions, obviously put them below. But I'm going to move on and do the other videos now around positioning. And if you want to go and watch those, we'll see you then.